So given the fact this is never an easy day for something like this, and few ups and downs. So where are you at right now with the sense of where this team is at mentally and where they want to head for this next off season and the year beyond it?
I'll say disappointed, almost to a man, having conversations with all the guys today. But also hopeful. I think the year-end evaluation, this group had a goal set out for itself, and we didn't achieve that goal, and hence the disappointment, and each and every one of us culpability in that disappointment. But I think, talk about the success of this team in year two. To each and every man, so I've heard and so they've told me, came back with a chip on their shoulder with that disappointment and back for the second year and needing and wanting something to prove. And I think the hopefulness part of the conversation with the coaching staff and with the players is we've referenced it, the way we played the last 19 games, wasn't necessarily perfect in all regards, but the way we played on the ice, the way we played for each other is how we want to do it, and evidence that it can be successful if we all buy in. And I mean, overall, the 82 games, I'm going to talk about consistency of putting that on the ice. And that's where we fell short. And, just having a chip on our shoulder and coming back next year with the energy and the commitment to do it for, 180 days, 82 games.
Where did you find the challenges of managing some of those ups and downs? And then with, in the last recent stretch, which parts of this team trying to grow that more of a chip on the shoulder approach that each bit more understanding of what they can do this next season?
I think, we had goals as a team, as a group in there to win a certain number of hockey games. My goal as a coach, I think, was to galvanize this team and come together with an identity and a consistency of which we do it each and every day. And evaluating, that from a coaching staff perspective, we didn't get that. We weren't able to grow this team into that that every night, that consistent identity of a group. And I take a little bit of pride in the last 19 games in doing so. I think, I would have loved to win the last game and say we're 10-7 over the 10-7-2 over the last 19, and that's playoff hockey. So I'm gonna take the last 19 games and say that's, both to the guys, to the group, from the group to the fans and to the National Hockey League. That's who we can be, and that's what we got to be for 182 games or 182 games next season.
Dan, how do you structure your exit interviews with these guys? Not necessarily what you said, but how do you approach it? Do you have 15 or 20 minutes with each guy?
Well, we're having a conversation this late in the afternoon because they didn't last 15 minutes, but talk to the players individually, from a coaching staff to the players, and for most of the conversations, they're not the first time we've had the conversations about their year, our team, the direction, and so a few of the conversations, especially with the leaders of our team, they're just an extended conversation of their situation, our team's situation, and so they're 15-minute increments of time with every one of them. But as those conversations they've been happening over the year as well.
Dan, you knew a lot of these guys, a few of these guys, at least before this season. You knew some of them from a distance. How much of this season was spent getting to know the kind of guys you want to go to battle with, and the kind of guys, and you think you have the guys you want to go to battle with right now, or would you like to see? How do you feel about it?
I think, I think a lot of learning and a lot of happened this year for sure. I think I thought I had an idea of some of the individuals in the team, but that certainly was a part of the growth and development this year, is the guys getting to know me, me getting to know the guys, the dynamic of the group and the team, and that's got to continue to grow here in the future going forward. I think it doesn't really, you can't look externally, I'll say, for it to get better. We have to get it within the group that we have and the group that's out there. And I think, some of that is growth and development from year to year from a player, and maturity. And Matty Beniers' growth and development this year has to be carried into next year. And Shane Wright, those aspects give hope to where we're going. But it doesn't need, this 82 games doesn't need to be it has to be now, but we can't just go into the next 82 with it being a learning environment and getting used to each other. We've done that now, and we got to hit the ground running next year.
When you look at the on-ice product from the season, what are some of the areas that you kind of scratch your head about not being where you wanted to be, whether it might be power play or some specific defensive things here? Is there anything that kind of comes to your mind that are areas that you looked at and kind of focus on?
Well, consistency and is going to be a big one. I think I'll just say it, our team play, and we talk a lot about being connected. We talked a lot about playing as 5-man units, and that's offensively and defensively. And we didn't have enough consistency in that regard. I think the messaging, has to continue. And I think, some of the things, like, we obviously we didn't keep the puck out of the net enough. I think we scored enough to be an effective team. We didn't keep the puck out of the net to be to be a winning hockey team throughout this year. I think that there wasn't a change in structure, but there was something that needs to be addressed. But really, the consistency of which we do it each and every night is how we're going to have success. And the numbers over the last 19 games, we talked about how the team played, but the numbers have changed, in a lot of aspects of how our team played, and the analytics of them have changed, and to the guys in the room and to the fans in the world, those things need to continue to be at the level they are the last 19 games for us to be a successful team.
On paper, at the trade deadline, it appeared that you guys actually lost some really key contributors there. So obviously you've talked a lot about the team playing better after the trade deadline. Why do you think that is, that things went better after that, after losing some kind of key players?
It's a good question.
Thanks.
And I'll let you contemplate the answer.
Can you let us know which of you guys are going to the World Championships?
I'm not sure those guys know yet. So the World Championship aren't really allowed to talk to your players before the end of the season, and so they're finding out just now, today and the next few days, about who's going and who's not going to the World Championships, but we have a number of players that are going to be notified here in the next couple days, so I'll let them find out first from their respective organizations. So, but I think, you know, we have some Finns, some Swedes, we have some other, you know, I think the German team will benefit. Team USA, I think, will benefit from a few of our players. So, but it's coming in the next few days. So,
you talk about learning about the guys in the room, coming in, seeing them from the outside, this is what they're really like. It's been a while since you've held a head coaching position in the NHL, and I'm sure you and the league have changed since then. So what's maybe the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself as a coach and as a person over these last 32 games?
oh, ask me this one tomorrow. Give me a little bit more time. I think managing the team and the personalities. I don't think it's changed, but it's critically important to the success of the team. Is getting the team and the individual players on the same page and pulling in the same direction, and with a unified mindset, identity. That's going to be huge going forward for our team and this group of guys. And that's, when I talk about evaluation of the year and saying inconsistent, that's not something I take very easily, because that's the job of the coach. And I think we made some strides, but I think clearly that's where both this team and me as a coach have to improve for this team to have success next year.
What's been the highlight of the season for you?
They're personal highlights for me, because they might not necessarily show up as the 35 wins that we had, but I think there have been a few particular moments where the group has realized and started to spawn the belief that if we play a certain way and we play together, we can beat anybody at any given time. And we've had some, Carolina is probably one of those games. And there are a few other ones. But they only provide belief and hope for this team and for me in the future going forward.
How much input will you give, or how much input have you given in terms of personnel, like where you want to see the team upgraded? Are you very involved in those conversations with Ron? I think this is where Ron is very good at identifying those areas of the team, both growth from development and draft picks and development of those players in our organization, and identifying, what the team needs maybe from, the free agent market. Or so we've had the conversations, we've talked about those things, and I have some input for sure, but I think Ron has a real clear and distinct idea where the team needs to go and how it's going to get better, and we'll see that happen.
Dan, what's it meant for you to wake up and coach in this town so far through 82 games?
I think maybe the Biggest surprise here in Seattle is just how great our fans are. I think they're Seattle and Seattle sports have some notoriety about the fan base and how great of the fans they are, and for football. And I couldn't say enough about the fan base here, the enthusiasm for our team, and they're blown away by it, and I just want it to continue.
What's kind of your end of season opinion on Paco and the line that you had on most of the season?
I think that evaluation just goes to how much of a difference and different kind of player he was immediately when he got here. I think being a possession guy, being a guy who can hang on to the puck in the offensive zone and establish his own time, I think Matty's game really was his best when he was playing with Paco there for especially the January, February time frame. And I think it's drastic because he's a player we didn't have. Just a big-bodied, again, offensive zone guy, make plays, hold on to the puck, and be a force in the offensive zone. I think, talk about some of the numbers in the dressing room with the guys about what we want to be and how we want to play and what that means to produce. At the end of the year, in the last 19 games, our O-zone possession time went up to 4th in the league, and Paco is a big part of that.
Dan, what have you kind of made of Vince's year? He said, he felt it was decent, but with his role, decent isn't good enough, and he was pretty disappointed in his year. What did you kind of make of how he kind of played this year for you? Obviously, he had some injuries to deal with, but kind of as a whole, what his season was for you?
I think him being out, the injury, especially early on in the season, you saw really when he came back, it's accented what he can bring to the team. I think from almost to a man in that room, I think we all feel the same way about our years. It was, individually, how was my year? It was okay. It was good, but not good enough. And, I think Vince can be a driver on our power play, can be a driver offensively for, back on the back end from us from both a puck moving standpoint, but a facilitator offensively. And, he did a good job of that. I think his expectation and my expectation is it can be better.
Guys, we're going to wrap up here, so Dan can finish up with the release, if that's okay. Any other last final questions?
Big summer plans, Dan?
Too many. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.